Kerala should be the richest state in the country by sheer intellectual endowment. Kerala, while it has very bright engineers, it is also probably the most argumentative engineers in the world.
Yes.
And people having to be stuck on a job that they don't like because they have the EMI payment. In fact, this applies more to those who are better endowed financially. You cannot go tell a very poor person who's struggling to put food on the table, be contented.
AI is similar to this Umaki because all are saying that AI is coming, you will lose your job. So do we need to have a phobia towards AI? In this special episode, we explore more on Mr. Sridhar Vembu's philosophies. Let's continue. Do you have any instance where a turbulence or a distraction or a disturbance that has turned out to be an opportunity for Zoho Corporation?
Yeah. So in our early days, we were very exposed to the telecom market worldwide. This was in 99, 2000. And then the 2001-2, in fact, after the September 11 attacks in the US, the business evaporated. That business completely shut down. And we had about 300 customers at that time. Most of them went out of business within a 2-year period. So when your customers all on very large scale go out of business, it's a crisis. So it was a major crisis in 2002-3. We had a lot of soul searching. It was a difficult time. We regrouped. We decided to target new markets. In that sense, it was a blessing in disguise, as you put it, because it was an opportunity we would not have seized if not for this crisis that forced us to look further afield, look for new opportunities. And that is eventually how we ended up with a lot of the current technologies we have today.
2008 financial crisis and even the COVID pandemic actually taught us many things.
Correct.
What are things you learned from these crises?
Yeah. So the COVID, of course, that's where we became much more the transnational localism, this rooted in our rural expansion, all of that. We had those ideas before, but they got major acceleration after that. So in fact, after 2019, 2020 is when they got a major acceleration. So that's the direct outcome of COVID. And we now have 1,000 people in Tenkasi, another about 300, 400 people in Tirunelveli, about an hour from here. So we have on Kottarakara, we have an office, about 50 people. All of this happened essentially as a result of the pandemic forcing us to rethink how we operate. And the financial crisis, 2008-9, also had a big impact. We realized that the era of globalization that had run was pretty much run its course. What we are living is in the aftermath of that. It was very clear that the global system was very shaky. In fact, what we are seeing now, all of the tariff, all of that is a direct outcome of that 2008-9. So we are still continuing the long adjustment from the crisis. It's forcing us to learn that we have to, the whole Atma Nirbhar, self-reliance. Those types of things now are becoming much more commonly talked about. And the intellectuals understand the value of it. So that is from that outcome of all those, the crisis itself, the financial crisis, and now the tariffs, all of that.
So from the world economy, let's come to Kerala.
Yeah.
So you had been to Kerala and I think you are a frequent visitor of Kerala.
Yes.
And you met many entrepreneurs, you talked to startup founders. Our state GDP is low, but we have great talent. State GDP is not in proportionate with the talents.
Yeah.
Why is
Kerala should be the richest state in the country by sheer intellectual endowment. It's the most, probably the R&D rich environment possible. And we are setting up R&D centers in Kerala. We are hiring a lot of engineers there, so we know this. Our co-founder, Tony Thomas, is from Kerala too. So we know this, the whole environment intimately. And we are, of course, neighbors here in Tenkasi. So I'll tell you from two things. One, Kerala traditionally exported so much of its talent. If you go to Dubai, Dubai, you can say, to a first approximation, is also a Kerala city in so many ways, right? So that's one. So the export of the talent, that really undercut Kerala's own economic rise. So we have to learn to, keep our talent. That's the first challenge. The second, I'm going to say, Kerala, while it has very bright engineers, it is also probably the most argumentative engineers in the world.
Yes.
right? I often jokingly say there is a stubbornness. You
Kerala is
also have
a
to-
more politically conscious society. That's
and the argumentative Indian applies to Kerala much more than anybody else. And as a result, I tell you how this affects us. You have to reach a consensus in any decision making. You have to set a course for something. Like we pursue this, we pursue that. That's true in engineering teams, that's true in business, anywhere. But I suspect in Kerala, we end up arguing all the time. We never arrive at a conclusion.
yes.
That's also, I think, keeps us back. So,
Okay, so we say palaridade paambu javilla because in between so many people, the snake won't die because they will continue to argue.
Yes.
Finally, the snake will escape.
Escape, yeah.
So that's
Exactly.
one issue. Yeah,
Right.
you have pointed out the dangers of finance-driven economy. Because many engineers, many techies, they are moving on to the finance sector.
correct. First, let me step back. Why I talk about I oppose this finance-driven economy. Ultimately, it's code for ever more debt. Essentially, all of financial innovation is about expanding the debt that everybody carries.
Yes.
Today, 40, 50 years ago, a middle-class Indian carried very little debt.
Yes.
They would own their home. This concept of mortgage was nearly non-existent. This concept of installment payment, very, very rare. It wasn't there. Now, practically everyone carries a 2 or 3 or 4 EMI payments. That's true even in a remote village. Even in this village, practically every person has 2 or 3 EMI payments. So this we think is progress, but what it does is it traps people in debt.
Yes.
And so many people cannot get out of the debt at all. That's the reality. And the second is our prosperity that we enjoy as a result of the debt is, at least a good part of it, is an illusion. If the debt can never be repaid, then what was the prosperity? And meanwhile, they are not just not repaying, they are not able to repay, you also sink. You lose your remaining bits of land or any other assets too. So and then enormous personal distress. And here in this village, I notice in these villages, there's a lot of suicides linked to debt.
Yes.
Somebody is in a debt trap. They see no way out. They decide to end it all. This sadly happens here. So all of this I have observed firsthand here. So this is why I see the effect of when we talk about financial revolution, all of this, I see the effect firsthand. And to me, finance should be restricted only for supporting industrial development. It's good to borrow to set up a factory. I don't know that it's good to borrow to buy a smartphone or to borrow to go on a vacation. Worse.
Yes.
And yet all of these we are encouraged to do today. This is the original American idea. Even many Americans don't think it's a good idea. But unfortunately, it has spread everywhere. We borrow to buy a TV, we borrow to buy a smartphone, we borrow to buy a motorcycle, we borrow to go on vacation. None of this should be encouraged. Borrowing should be restricted to setting up factories.
That is good debt and bad debt.
Yes.
Isn't it?
So we have to set up productive facilities, employment. That can be driven by debt, but not all this consumption. Sadly, that is the direction of the global economy. And our smartest people are sucked into this. So the way it works is you take all this debt. So the way a person here in this village buys a smartphone, that debt gets aggregated into bonds, and now they pretty much get traded globally. They can get traded in Dubai, they get traded in Singapore, they could be dollarized. There is all manner of financial instruments on top of instruments. Ultimately, all backstopped with the debt of an individual consumer. And that, I think, is a very unsound system.
Jokingly, one of my friends recently told EMI is the single factor motivating me to live. Most of the suicides behind that is financial reason.
Correct.
Then the basic reason for most of the divorces in Kerala, that's financial. So do we have to have a better financial literacy among people?
We definitely need financial literacy, but this is one area where the government can help. See, this is an age-old, if you look at every major religion, all of the religions have been very careful about making money on money.
Yes, yes.
If you go back to any of the traditional church, it's true in Islam, it's true in Hinduism, all of it's true. Making money on money was looked down upon always. Because I tell you, it is very, I can see it, if I have a pool of money, it's very easy to trap poor people in debt and multiply that money. there has to be a moral prohibition against it. This cannot just be illegal. Society has to come together. People have to agree that this is not a good way to live. This is not a good way to make money. Unfortunately, today we have glorified that way of life. We have glorified that making money on money as the finance professional, finance driven this or that, and that is ultimately it is the cause of all of the social ills we talk about. Whether it's debt trap, it becomes a death trap often, and then you mentioned the divorce. All of these, the financial pressure, even alcoholism, stress,
Yes.
and people having to be stuck on a job that they don't like because they have the EMI payment.
Yes.
They cannot leave.
Yes.
So it becomes at that point becomes a kind of a bonded labor. If I don't enjoy the job, I have to keep doing it. In what sense am I free?
Yes.
My entire freedom is gone. So this is why I think we have to educate people on all this. But it is not only a literacy, it's not only education. It also has to be a policy from the government level. And second, a societal consensus. That's what religions achieve. There is a religious consensus. We live in secular times. We don't have this religious consensus, but we need a secular consensus, a social consensus. So it's a social compact, if you will, that maybe we'll frown upon too much of this making money on money.
So it's like a vicious circle. So each one is finding it difficult to break the circle.
Right.
So what should be the real purpose of money?
Yeah. So to me, the real purpose, first you have to root your life in contentment, humility. In fact, this applies more to those who are better endowed financially. You cannot go tell a very poor person who's struggling to put food on the table, be contented. That's cruel advice. Nobody would give that advice. But for a rich person, a person who is well endowed, the best advice is contentment. Say enough. And then what do I do with the rest of the money? Do some good works. We have so much good we can do with money. So money, to me, the purpose has to be to do good. And that could be in a variety of areas. Anything, even protecting nature costs money. Digging ponds, conserving rainwater, planting trees, making sure our forest is full of animals, thriving ecosystems, the earthworm, saving the earthworm, saving the butterflies, saving insects, because today there is an insect population collapse. And that's very important for our food because the insects are the ones pollinating our food crops. All of these priorities cost human labor, and that requires money. So we're restoring temples, any of these priorities. So money has a lot of good purposes we can do, but only if we are contented within ourselves. Then we can think about the broader social problems. This is particularly applicable to those of us who are in the middle, upper middle or richer classes.
We have an author in Malayalam, Vaikom Muhammad Bashir. You might have heard, and one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So he's of the opinion that each creature, whether it is a microorganism to the human being, each creature has the right to live in this society. Right now, there is conflict going on in different parts of the country, especially in Kerala.
We saw in Wayanad the landslides. Also, when we wage war against nature, nature wages war against us. It's obvious. So again, that comes back to contentment. Do we have enough? And I think in Kerala today, if you look at Kerala society, the birth rates are so low. And I think very soon Kerala has a surplus of housing. So many houses built and not enough people to live in them. I think it's true in small towns already, where you have the big houses, but there's maybe one or two people living there now. So there is, you can say enough in terms of that kind of development. Do we have to destroy nature to develop? That's one. And that is directly then related to the animal-human conflict. Because animals need sanctuaries. Animal needs their areas. And if we don't have to invade them, because we have enough already and we have controlled our own numbers, which is true in Kerala, which is true in Tamil Nadu now. Our birth rates, if anything, are actually too low now. We are not even at replacement level now. We are at about 1.5, 1.6 in terms of the fertility rate. That means our population is set to actually decline in the next few years. So that is, I think we have reached, that is the first step. The second is then the remaining, those of us who are here, have to have a life that is harmonious with nature itself. In so many ways, that is, how do we dispose of our waste? Because our plastics are affecting the other species. What we are doing to the water, that's affecting other species. What we are doing to our hillsides, that's affecting other species. That's why they have to invade us. The elephants have to come down because there we are not keeping their turf well. So if we do those, I think we can reduce this. But fundamentally, it has to come from our attitude with it. This humility and contentment. I keep coming back to that.
Okay. So a typical problem of Kerala, there are big houses with 2 or 3 people, and many of their kids, they are abroad. Then on the other side, we have internal migration. That means different parts of India, Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. A large number of people, they are coming to Kerala to work. So would that make a socio-economic and cultural change in Kerala within 15 to 20 years?
I believe it is already doing it, and it is even here also, even in a remote rural district like Tenkasi, you have a surprising number of migrant labor. It is there. It's also related to the demographic difference now. Where are the kids born in India? They're born primarily in the northern states, number one. To the economic difference. To me, when I visit Kerala, I see a much more developed part of India than other rural parts that I see. Even going from Tenkasi to Trivandrum to Kochi, the difference is very stark, you can see. Same with Coimbatore. If you look at Coimbatore and Kochi, these are all highly developed, much more visibly prosperous. Obviously, they're going to attract the migrants from the poorer parts of India. For example, rural Tamil Nadu sends a lot of migrants to Kerala. So it's the same everywhere, right? The only solution is we have to have development that's much more broad-based. It has to be in Bengal, it has to be in Bihar, it has to be in UP, Eastern UP, all of that. That's something that I've been very focused on too. Because to me, part of it is not just whether the migrants come here, it's also what it does to those migrating communities there. I've been on both ends here. For example, take this village. During pandemic, 50 workers came back from Mumbai. They were in construction work in Mumbai and they came back here. That's when I actually knew that there were so many young men missing from this village. When I moved here, I didn't notice it. Then suddenly, pandemic, there was a surge of these young men and I noticed that they came back. And now we have retained a lot of them. We actually have started a lot of activity. A good number of them didn't go back. And the way I like to say it is, when I go to Mumbai, I say, look, I have saved you 20 people and I don't think you need more people in Mumbai because it's already overcrowded. Same thing I do in Bangalore. I say it in Bangalore. So we have to have activity going on in these places to retain. It has to be a positive retention. There has to be a reason to stay. It cannot be negative, don't go. It is, please stay here because there is enough opportunity here. That's what I'd like to do.
In Kerala, if a small kid, if they are doing some wrong, some tappa, the elders or the grandparents, they would say, see, don't do that, Umaki will come. Umaki is like a monster that would come and swallow if they are doing that wrong thing. AI is similar to this Umaki because all are saying that AI is coming, you will lose your job. So do we need to have a phobia towards AI, or do we have any technique to collaborate with AI and have a harmonious AI human mode of living?
First of all, it's funny you mentioned the word Umaki. I forgot that word. In Tamil, it was called Umachi.
Okay.
Same word. So, and AI, I think it's a good way to describe it. It's sort of the monster we don't know, right? And right now at least, there is, of course, we see every day, single day, last week, major announcements from all the AI companies. And they can do this, they can do that. When you go deeper in, for example, the word they use, the phrase they use is very jagged frontier. AI can be surprisingly good in some things, surprisingly bad at some things. In fact, one of the models, it can do a lot of code generation, it can do a lot of things, and it fails in adding two-digit numbers.
Yes.
What a fourth standard kid can do easily, the AI is failing. So it is the jagged frontier. Why is it so good in this area? Why is it so bad here? And the second problem with AI is it cannot be relied upon. I cannot make it, I cannot generate a presentation or a speech based on all the input I provide and ensure that it is accurate. Forget even the taste or the stylistic, all that. Is it even accurate? Is it giving accurate information? And that cannot be relied upon for any length of text or for that matter code. Those are some of the fundamental problems there are experts on both sides. There are people who say it's only a matter of time, all of that will be solved. There are people who say current architectures, AI architectures can never solve them. Then there's maybe a third category of people who will say we are making advances in all of that, so we may be able to solve a lot of them. For example, I think it's the self-driving car problem. In the US now, Teslas pretty much drive themselves a lot of places. They are even hands-free. Like you can sit in the car will take you. One of my friends recently told me that they had a 2-hour ride through Houston and they never touched the steering wheel. So the car is able to drive itself. The latest cars can do that. And so clearly we are making progress in all of that. Same thing in code also. Software code generation, AI is doing a increasingly better job. I won't say great job yet, but decent job now, and we can see the prospects. That raises the question, what happens to us? What happens to humans? Jobs. In fact, I have an interesting answer to that. We still have to take care of our nature, our soil, our water, all of these. These are not problems of AI. These are problems of humans.
Yes.
And so maybe our phones will become very cheap, our food will become more expensive. We pay the soil expert, the water expert, the music expert, the culture expert. We pay them better. So that might be in other words, see, to me, fundamentally, automation does not have to degrade our standard of living. Automation actually is the foundation of increased standard of living, provided we have a distribution system right. How do we afford the iPhone? How do we afford the goods coming out of those automated factories? If we have the income, which means maybe the soil expert, maybe the children expert, the school teachers, the nurses may get paid better. Then I'm not afraid of the AI world, because children are going to need human teachers.
Yes.
And patients want human nurses, human doctors. So maybe they'll get paid better. So that's how I think the rebalance will happen. But it's still going to be a wrenching change. I don't think the change is going to happen very easily.
On one side, AI is very helpful because I do take assistance from a Gemini or ChatGPT or Perplexity. But I'm putting my creativity and I'm asking AI to modify that in a better, refined way. At the same time, on the other side, like deepfake, where do we find a balance?
Yeah. So again, this is where those of us now, AI is new to us. We knew a pre-AI world. But imagine a child growing up 6 or 7 now, entering school now, maybe 7 or 8 now. In 10 years, they won't remember a world without AI. What is their thought process? Are they creative? Have they come to over-rely on AI? And this is actually already computer science professors in leading colleges in the US are complaining now that the students are not developing the skills because they are relying on AI for everything. You give a homework, they go to AI and the AI helps solve. So they are not developing the skills. So there is a reasonable fear of humans losing our skills due to AI. So maybe schools, colleges, all that will have a no AI rule. It's like no calculator rule in exams. They may actually impose those rules. Maybe we go back to writing exams in paper so that we cannot actually consult an AI. So these things might be true, come true.
Yeah, that's true because we are a generation, we use it in a hybrid and positive and constructive way. But when there is a generation exposed only to AI, that's
that we have to see how that is. So we may adopt a voluntary restraint on using AI.
Okay. Actually, I have so many questions to ask, but the clock is ticking. You have to go and I have to go. We both have promises to keep. But one last question, that's a signature question we ask to each and every guest of us. That's how do you define success?
To me, success is having a positive impact. Impact on someone, impact on some technology. And Steve Jobs put it best, make a dent in the universe. And to me, it is about, can I make an impact in this village, in this district, to rural people? Can we make an impact on our customer base globally? Can we make their day better because they are using our tools? So that's success. And all of the money, everything, if we don't keep our employees happy, we don't keep our surrounding communities happy, we don't keep our customers happy, the money itself doesn't mean anything. So it has to be, then the money itself can do good if you have earned it the good way. So that's how I define success.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights.
Yeah.
So, by using all this, let's make this world a better place for you, for me, and for the entire human race. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Thank you.